Good morning. Welcome to our service. Today we're going to have a lesson that you may not have given a lot of thought to. It's on discipleship. Exactly what is a disciple? How can we be better disciples? And who is it that God has called to be a disciple? Some people think that only the original 12 were disciples. But I want to show you some scriptures that show that that is not the truth. A disciple, here, first of all, definition from the dictionary. This one comes from the American Heritage. One who embraces and assists in spreading the teachings of another. That's good. This is what Webster's 1828 says. Disciple, a learner, a scholar. So here we see that it includes the word student. We are students. The second definition is a follower, an adherent to the doctrines of another. Hence, the constant attendants of Christ were called his disciples, and hence all Christians are called his disciples, as they profess to learn and receive his doctrines and precepts. Oh, isn't that so great? Disciple in the verb tense is to teach, to train, or bring up. That's also from Webster's 1828. So we see there that it has to do with learning, and then it has to do with teaching. We've often looked at that little cliche that says to teach is to learn twice, and that is so true, at least twice. To teach is to give and to continue to reiterate it in our own spirits. The New King James Version, Matthew 28:18 says this. Jesus came and spoke to them, saying, all authority has been given to me in heaven and in earth. On earth. Go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always. 3 dots, because it keeps going. He said to them that go therefore and make disciples. Notice he didn't say converts. He said disciples. Teach them, impart them, grow them in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord, just the way a parent does a child. King James Version in John 13:34 says this. This is so good. A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another, as I have loved you. We know that's a very self-sacrificing kind of love. That ye also love one another. By this kind of love, this kind of self-sacrificing love, by this shall all men know that you are my disciples. What a new and different take on that word disciple. If you have love one to another. So Jesus has given us checks and balances throughout the word. He told us to beware of false prophets because they would not have fruit, and to judge by the fruit. And we use the fruit listing in Galatians 5 as a critique to establish the truth on whether who's telling the truth and who isn't. Do they have love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, meekness, faith, temperance? Is that in their lives? Then that's our judge. That's the thing we're to critique, whether someone is a true or false teacher, prophet. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if you have love one to another. What a consolation. What an encouragement. We have a checklist, and this is it. Disciple is the root for the word discipline. And in 1 Timothy 4:7, the King James says this, but refuse profane and old wives' fables, and exercise thyself rather unto godliness. The same passage in the Amplified renders like this, but have nothing to do with irreverent folklore and silly myths. On the other hand, discipline yourself for the purpose of godliness, keeping yourself spiritually fit. Now, God does the work. God produces the fruit. God cleans us, but we must get into the tub and let him wash us with the water of the word and renew us and restore us and remake us into everything that he has called us to be, in order that we might fulfill our personal destinies. Galatians 5 lists the fruit of the Spirit. We reference this often. The fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, meekness, faith, temperance. Temperance, the very last one, has in it both discipline and self-control. So we see here that it is a fruit that the Lord will bear in us if we invite him and allow him to do that. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, meekness, faith, temperance. He will do the work. But let us give ourselves to constant attention to do nothing. We should do a checklist, a self-test on ourselves. If anything is wrong, then we just won't do it. That should be our criteria for every day of our lives. Is it wrong? Then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be willing to do that which would grieve the Holy Spirit of God. There are some out there today that teach anything goes because you're covered by the grace of God. That doctrine lacks temperance. That doctrine lacks self-control and discipline. Let us discipline ourselves, therefore, into godliness. Let the fruit of the Spirit be formed and performed through our hearts and lives. It should in no way be lacking in these things, because it's God who does the work. But we must have faith in him. And we must say, I will trust the Lord. If we have a nominal Christianity that doesn't cost anything, that's exactly what it's worth. But if it's cost us something, Jesus said we are to love like he loved. And by this shall all men know that you are my disciples, followers, disciplined ones, scholars, students of the Lord and his word and his ways and his doctrine. That's what he's called us to be. And he's so good that he does all of it in us and through us. And as always, it's not by might. It's not by power. It's by my Spirit, saith the Lord. One of my favorite passages comes from James, the 4th chapter, and it says, submit yourselves therefore unto God. Resist the devil, and he will flee. So the first order of business is not the devil. The first order of business is surrender to Christ. The first order of business is to say, have thine own way, Lord, have thine own way. Thou art the potter and I am the clay. Mold me and make me after your will while I am waiting, yielded and still. We often talk about the valuable doctrine in old hymns, and there's such great teaching woven into the verse and choruses of those old songs. And I am praying today that there will be that sense of absolute surrender. Perhaps it is one step at a time, but still yet that you are praying, have thine own way, Lord, have thine own way. Thou art the potter and I am the clay. We need a sense of relinquishment. We need a sense of surrender, and we need a sense of truly being disciples of the Lord, followers of that which he has begun. He will complete that which he started in us if we maintain a sense of surrender. But he's looking for yielded vessels. He's looking for people that say, take the whole world, but give me Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. And also, Galatians tells us, I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. Yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life that I now live, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. He's the one who perfects our faith. He's the author and finisher of our faith. He's the one that works that faith in us in an ongoing surrender, that we might truly be disciples. By this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you have love one to another. Be blessed. That's all I have today. We'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.